But sugar's love. You know, Grandma's the one that makes cupcakes for the kids, right? Grandma gives you fudge and brownies. That can't be bad. You know? We have bake sales. That's how the Spanish Club makes money after school. They have a bake sale. I always say I want to come in and set up a table with alcohol and tobacco right next to it. You know? And so, you know, and everybody'd be upset and say, well, we can't do that. That's not good for them. Well, what are you doing over there, you know? Well, good afternoon. Today we're going to visit a place that you travel to every day and you probably don't even think about it. The Carb Store. Follow me. Thanks for coming along. As promised, we're going to visit the Carb Store today. Now, this is a place that you go every day and you may not even realize it. But basically, the Carb Store is where you get sugar. Sugar is carbohydrate, and carbohydrate is sugar. From the neck down, that's what your body sees. It's not unusual for patients and the public at large to be very confused about the advertising they hear, the nutrition labels they're being taught to read. We show patients here at the clinic how to look at this and how to decipher and get through carbohydrates and sugar. But the bottom line, carbohydrates are sugar and sugar are carbohydrates. Now, let's take a look. Let's define that. This is what the Carb Store looks like. It's any place where you consume sugar. And let's take a look. Some of the places you're going to be familiar with and you'll recognize, others you may not. However, if you take in sugar in your life, you get it at the Carb Store. Now, when we look at, like any good store, I like to think of it in aisles. There's 8 aisles in the Carb Store. Aisles 6, 7, and 8. Let's start here with aisle 8. That's the sugar-sweetened beverages. Now, fruit juice, okay? Anytime there's sugar in a beverage, don't drink it. You don't want to drink your sugar. Even 100% orange juice has 5 teaspoons of sugar. Now, soda pop obviously has a lot of sugar in it. Sports drinks like Gatorade and Powerade have a lot of sugar. Flavored coffees. Starbucks. A lot of folks start their day at Starbucks. The caramel mocha lattes are loaded with sugar. Okay? And again, this is what the body turns into fat. Now, energy drinks. Monster, Red Bull, the young generation especially getting a lot of sugar in this form. Now, weight loss shakes. Again, you have to remember, advertising in the food industry, they're interested in selling product. That's what they care about. They're not so much interested in your health. They've learned if they call it a weight loss shake, it's going to draw your attention. However, you have to ask yourself, what makes this a weight loss shake? They may say, well, it contains protein. It turns out when you look at them and give them scrutiny, and you know how to look at the label, you'll find out that there's a lot of sugar and very little protein. That's not a weight loss shake. Now, aisle 7. This is sweets, specifically candy. Now, yogurt, pudding, even weight loss bars can also fall into this group because the weight loss bars, very similarly to the shakes, sometimes if they advertise them as a weight loss bar, they know it's going to get you to read it. That's why you need to know how to read and how to decipher that label, which again, we show folks how to do that here at the clinic and how to look at the carbohydrates, because remember, it's the carbohydrates that are the sugars. Now, if you look at candy at large, again, not a secret. We all know when we're eating candy. Now, ice cream, I tend to put ice cream over here in aisle 6 with the baked goods. Because again, baked goods, cookies, cakes, brownies, pies, muffins, this type of thing, we're very aware when we're eating this. And most of the time, like I say, if we're going to have ice cream, many times it's served with this, such as a birthday cake, etc. Now, we understand that we're getting sugar when we're eating baked goods, sweets, and the sugar-sweetened beverages. And remember, good rule of thumb, never drink your sugar. Stay out of aisle 8. Because when the sugar comes in that fashion, it doesn't come in with any fiber or anything else to blunt the bloodstream's blood sugar reaction. And this changes a whole set of events that causes you to start storing fat very quickly. Now, we have aisle 6, 7, and 8. Then if we move over to aisle 5, that's alcohol. Now a lot of folks are surprised to find out that alcohol isn't part of the carb store. Because if they look online, they may say, well, alcohol doesn't have sugar or carbohydrate, it's alcohol. But you have to remember, where do we get alcohol from? We ferment carbohydrates. That's how we do it. Doesn't matter if it's beer, wine, or a distilled spirit, we have to ferment a carbohydrate to get the alcohol. So therefore, we again teach patients how to look at the alcohols they're consuming as to how much sugar they're really getting when they're consuming these. And again, this is a very important piece to the puzzle. Now, if we look at the salty carbohydrates, chips, crackers, pretzels, popcorn, again, this is very important because, again, things that we consume that many times we're not even thinking that we're getting sugar at this time. But again, from the neck down, once these sugars, carbohydrates, remember, carbs are sugar, sugar are carbs, once these are digested and into the circulation, the cells see sugar. And when the cells see sugar, they metabolize it as such. The complex carbs, that's pasta, white potatoes, rice, breads, buns, crusts, the things you see appearing in aisle 3. Now again, as patients and the public at large are eating these items, many times they're not thinking about this as being sugar. But the pasta, the large plate of pasta that you consume, that is starch. The complex sugar, which is just a very large molecules, when broken down, of sugar, of glucose. And so once that is digested through the stomach and small intestine and absorbed into the circulation, the cells are seeing a lot of sugar when you're eating from aisle 3. That's the key. Now, aisles 2, that's whole fruit, and aisle 1, vegetables, whole vegetables. These arguably are the healthiest ways to consume your sugars, okay, your carbohydrates. Turns out, as I like to say, Mom was right, eat your vegetables. And then aisle 2, the whole fruits, fruit is nature's dessert. Actually very sweet if you cut up strawberries, bananas, apples, and if you use that as your dessert, again, very sweet once you get rid of a lot of the other additive sugars. Now, we look at this in a whole and we see the 8 aisles of the carb store. From the sugar-sweetened beverages, the sweets, the baked goods, alcohol, the salty sugars, the complex sugars, whole fruits and whole vegetables. Now, if we have a budget and we look at budgeting our sugars, this is very important to learn to think about budgeting our sugars each day, our carbohydrates. Remember, carbs are sugar, sugar are carbs. That's critical to remember. That's what the body sees. Now, if we gave 10 people $100 a piece, sent each of them into the Macy's department store and said, pick out what you want, whatever you need or want. And then asked them when they came out to show us what they had purchased, they'd each have different items. However, what they'd have would total $100 because that was their budget. And the same goes for learning to budget what you spend at the carb store each day. Each individual may choose to get their sugars in different ways, in these different aisles that we've just talked about. However, if you know how to figure and look at the measurement of the sugars that you're taking in, and it's actually a very simple thing to learn to do, once you learn to control those sugars, you'll learn to manage your body weight. Because again, at the clinic, with the thousands of patients that we see, the struggle to manage body weight is always contested on the field of sugar. And so once we understand that sugar are carbs and carbs are sugar, once we learn to manage that intake, we learn to manage our body weight. Well, I hope that helps you. And as we continue this series, I want you to email us at staff@fargomedicalweightloss.com with ideas of nutritional topics you'd like us to cover. We'll try to break them down in a common sense, easy to understand fashion that makes nutrition come home to you. Thanks again.